let's dive in once again. Justin Blends here again, CoinWins. Let's talk about what's happening with price action. So we actually saw, maybe use the word predicted, that on the 12th of the month, we would see a move up into the weekend, which is exactly what we got, somewhere around 9 or 6 or 7 or 8, 10% of a move. And the reason why is just because, we after a downtrend for so long, we're bound to get some type of rebound. But also this strategy, and the reason why I was able to, let's say, call this move is partially, of course, based on actual liquidity levels. Okay, we look at actual liquidity levels on the chart because these are assets that are traded as perpetuals with contracts and leverage. So liquidity builds up above and below price. So like I always say, when it comes to fundamental analysis, it's absolutely important to do this because it helps you to narrow down really good assets. But you want to find out the right timing to get in or out of assets. So I always say that fundamental research, fundamental analysis helps us to find the party at, the right location, but technical analysis helps us to find the right entry or to arrive on time. All right. So we essentially knew that there were levels above here that were going to be tapped. And of course, we knew that there were levels down here that would be tapped. That's when we started to get active, as mentioned in previous videos on the channel. So if you haven't seen them, go back and definitely watch this one, because that is another way you can actually use leverage in a totally different way on Bitcoin. But it takes a little bit more strategy than simply just buying on a dip. Like yes and no, right? But it's a little deeper. So I would definitely recommend you guys check this one out. It's about Bitcoin ordinals, but it's also a strategy that is, in a sense, leveraging Bitcoin. Okay. So if you look at these levels below price and above price, right now we have pretty significant orders around 64,000. So I wouldn't be surprised if price comes back to the 64,000 range. That'd be somewhere around here. Okay. And of course, even lower, don't get me wrong. Right. But I also wouldn't be surprised if price moved up into the 72, 73 range before eventually reversing again. Now, I do have some ideas of targets up around here. It's possible, but it's pretty weak down here. Okay. There's not necessarily a huge amount of liquidity all the way up here, but I wouldn't be surprised once again if price comes up there, comes up to this EMA right here around 76 or 75 by the time it comes down, and then eventually reverses even lower. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm foreseeing. So this whole idea is based on the entire strategy. Okay, we assess the markets for, of course, like I said, fundamental analysis. First things first, fundamental analysis. What are you buying and why? Who's the team? What's the narrative? Is it relevant? Is there demand? We dive in like that, but then we also dive into technical analysis. So we, of course, come to CoinWins, take the course. It's a framework. So enjoy the framework, get the most of this framework that you possibly can. Okay. And like I said, I've created this account. It's a brand new free account just to show you a little bit around the platform. And you'll see I've recently added some new courses or new sections here. It's a gamified experience. Dive in. And today I want to look a little bit more at this liquidity management side. So if I just go to my progress, for example, you could see, okay, I've got some daily credits. Grab your daily credits. And of course, you can get your daily tips as well. Always useful tips to have. And you have your glossary and everything. But what you want to look at, and of course, there's some new badges as well, right? But what I want to show you super quickly, without diving into it, just to quickly show you, is this liquidity risk management. Okay. This is one of my favorite chapters. I love so many of the chapters on this tool, but I love this chapter because it talks about stuff that most people don't understand, and it's part of the strategy. So I strongly recommend you join BlendsGroup. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me just see. This is just kind of a preview mode. Okay. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a live seminar, live webinar. As you see right here, here's the calendar. We have strategy calls for those who are members, and of course, community calls as well for those who are members. But we also have this live webinar that happens every week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jump in and understand how to multiply Bitcoin for life. How to multiply Bitcoin for life. Let's look a little bit deeper into something that I think is going to be shifting, and this is also part of the strategy, okay? We're looking at robotics, and it's just a simple chart. It's just showing the interest or the search terms, the search trends for the word robotics. Now, because AI has become so powerful, I find that there's a chance that miners will be using their hardware for more than just mining assets like Bitcoin and other assets, minting, mining, whatever way you want to call it, depending on what the network is. Proof of work, we're talking about mining, okay? These huge miners have mega facilities with loads of GPUs. They have tons of computers. They have a lot of power. They will start to use, and they are already using their facilities for GPU power to help with AI services. So what comes to mind as well is OpenClaw and any self-hosted AI agent assistant that's going to come. This is, of course, the first major one. There will be more. But the point is that these are going to actually turn these miners into personalities. These are going to be used to collect even more data, to do more with these computers. Okay, I have a feeling that we're going to see a transformation in these miners to become much more valuable, much more useful. The exact same machine now has a brain, a personality that is stored locally. And I can just imagine how much information they can gather, what they can do with that. My gosh, so this is part of the strategy. We understand what the current trend is, of course, is AI. But what is AI? AI is brains. AI is information. AI is memories. It's a soul. Fill in the blank with everything else. But the physical robotics needs some type of memories or brains or some logic. So we will absolutely see tools like OpenClaw and, again, other self-hosted AI assistants, agents are going to be, we're going to see them being used in miners. We're going to see them being used in physical robotics devices, which means that DePIN, or Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks, will be using robotics a lot more, or will be using AI a lot more. So physical networks, robotics, physical devices, paired with agents, with senses, sensibilities, with memories, with logic. We're going to see all of this come together. So I see the trend moving slowly, where miners are going to shift their use of their computers, their systems, their GPUs, power, for robotics, for AI. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to see within that brains, information, logic, patterns, structure, soul, personality, commands, you name it, coming through platforms like self-hosted AI agent assistants like OpenClaw and others that will come. And all of this, again, into robotics. So this is where my attention is now. And this is more of a broader, maybe a longer term play into the year, but that's part of it. So join this Multiply Bitcoin for Life webinar. Absolutely join. And join, of course, it's at the link in the description, right? And of course, sign up for CoinWins. Get yourself better at this, no matter if you're an expert or a total newcomer. There's something for everybody. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not just hyperbole, okay? This is real, all right? And so, like I said, we've got some levels below price, and we're kind of in the middle, but I did foresee a move up on, the 12th of February, up through the weekend, which we saw. We'll see what happens throughout the week, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got to move up eventually. Maybe there's some sideways action. We might see a bit of chop going like this, possible, but eventually some days or weeks later, I wouldn't be surprised if we reached somewhere in and around this level right here. That's around 77, 78. All right. All the best and take it easy. Let's win together.